There have been some absolute stinkers this year for gaming. Welcome to Bite Size Bunny, my name's Tony, and these are the top 5 worst video games that released in 2024, at least in my opinion. For the record, I haven't played every game that's released this year, so I know I missed out on some truly awful titles, but without much further ado, let's get to it. Foam Stars should have been an easy win. You've got this colorful, vibrant world with gameplay that's very obviously inspired by Splatoon, except this time it's a PlayStation exclusive being done by Square Enix, and to make matters better, if you have PlayStation Plus, you could get the game for free with your PlayStation Plus subscription during its first month of release. So what could possibly go wrong? Well, apparently a lot. This plays and feels like a cheap knockoff version of the beloved Nintendo counterpart. It almost feels like one of those games you would find back in the day on the Xbox Arcade Store where it wasn't quite Minecraft, but Minecraft hadn't released on consoles yet, but hey, it's close enough. Despite being so bright and colorful, the game feels soulless. You can tell this was meant to be a live service cash farm that just happened to fail horribly. The cosmetics are ugly and expensive thanks to good old microtransactions. The music quickly grows irritating, the gameplay isn't broken, but it's not all that fun or memorable either. This is one of those games you play a few matches of and then you're ready to uninstall it and forget it ever existed. This year, I got really into Dead by Daylight. It's a game I've played for years, ever since its initial release on the PlayStation 4, but I decided to embark on a personal journey to try and obtain the Platinum Trophy for it. And it was surprisingly a lot of fun and gave me this newfound appreciation for the game. Once I got the Platinum Trophy, I decided I was going to treat myself to the casting of Frank Stone, an interactive story game from the studio that brought us Until Dawn and The Quarry, 2 games I thoroughly enjoyed. So I figured with a horror IP that had so many interesting characters they could utilize that it had a lot of potential. But instead, it turned out to be a total snooze fest. This was a hard one to get through. I'm not gonna lie, I found myself constantly fighting the urge to just give up on this title. The story isn't all that interesting, it's overly convoluted and builds up to a payoff that isn't all that satisfying. The characters are bland and forgettable. I was hoping that with a cast this size, there would be at least one character I would feel invested in by the end of this game, but I couldn't even get that. I'm not gonna say Dead by Daylight should stay exclusively in the multiplayer realm, but this was such a step in the wrong direction for this franchise. A video game from the ex-developers of the LEGO games, this time centered around Funko Pops and exploring various TV and film franchises. It honestly sounds like a really fun and intriguing idea. Too bad it feels terrible to play. The game opens up and you've got your 7 main worlds to explore. He-Man, Battlestar Galactica, The Thing, Scott Pilgrim, Jurassic Park, Umbrella Academy, and Hot Fuzz. On top of that, you've got single-level worlds featuring a plethora of other TV and movie IPs for you to play around in. So you would think with such drastically different IPs here that there would be some fun variety offered within them, or that at the very least, if you don't like one of the worlds, the other ones can make up for it. Nope, it practically all feels the same. From the characters you play as to the kinds of objectives you will be forced to complete and the repetitive mission structure. Not to mention the combat feels floaty and really unsatisfying. It doesn't pack any kind of weight whatsoever. Funko Fusion is nothing more than a lazy cash grab, and I would be completely baffled if it ever got a sequel. I tried. I really tried to stay hopeful for Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League all the way up to the bitter end. I wasn't looking for a Game of the Year contender here. I just wanted a game that could deliver on having semi-satisfying gameplay and a story that was enjoyable enough to keep me invested. It could have been dumb, mindless fun, and I would have been okay with that. All it had to do was be as good as Marvel's Avengers for me, and the fact that it couldn't even do that, yeah, sorry, but welcome to the worst games of the year list. The gameplay and combat is generic, the movement for when you traverse the city can feel really awkward at times, and fighting hundreds of the same enemy types gets really old really quickly. There are some semi-enjoyable boss fights here, but they even get lazy with those, seeing as the final boss of the game is a half-assed copy and paste job of a Justice League member you've beaten before, which they even carry over that tradition into the later seasons seasons of the game with their post-launch content. The story has some good moments and even some interesting ideas, but they couldn't even be bothered to finish that before release, because I guess since it's a live service game, that means it's okay to release an unfinished product. The fact that the game ends on a cliffhanger where it tells you good job at beating the final boss, but you gotta fight him a billion more times, and then it just rolls credits is such a bizarre choice. I even tried coming back to this game after they added more content to it, and it still couldn't get its hooks into me. It's just more of the same regurgitated crap that they gave you at launch. Boo! The first quadruple A game is a laughable excuse for a video game. The fact that people waited years and years for this game to release just so it could be nowhere near as good as the Assassin's Creed game it's pulling its concept from, which came out over 10 years prior to this game's release, it's just sad. They would have been better off just reskinning the naval combat from Assassin's Creed 4 and calling it a day. But instead, we got whatever this weird hot garbage was. The combat feels lazy and uninspired. Navigating the hub world as your create-a-pirate feels so tacked on and like an afterthought to this game that was just crammed into here to try and make it feel more content complete than it actually is. There are no redeeming qualities here. Even if you got this game for free, you were still ripped off because it's stealing your time. And those are the top 5 worst games I played in 2024. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Like, subscribe, and all that YouTube stuff. And what was the worst game you played this year? I'd love to know.